As I look upon my life, in the shadows, there's a passion inside. Heaven knows I'm living my dreams. As I look upon my life, in the shadows, there's a passion inside. Heaven knows I'm living my dream.
Good morning, Insights family. It is Thursday and we are on Talk with Joan. But as you will know, that Joan and Vi are not here today, so love and kisses to them wherever they are. They're on holiday, they are resting, and they are soaking up some TLC and some sun, but love and kisses from everyone here, which is basically me. I missed you guys, please come back. I do have two guests in the show, however, that I'm so excited to be on with, some difference for our Thursday vibe, and we're going to introduce them just a bit. It's Youth Month. It's Youth Month, and it's something that we want to celebrate as a people. It's something that Talk with Joan wants to celebrate because youth is important to each and every one of us. We all know a youth, and we all were a youth, and some of us are a youth. So today's conversation is all about youth. We want to know what's up with y'all. We want to know what you're getting up to. We want to know what your dreams and aspirations are. We want to understand where you are at in this phase of your life. And we are excited to do that. We are enthusiastic to do that. And more than anything else, I think we are interested to do that. I want to just say hi to our guest. You will know him from our Insights offering. He also has a show, and he's none other than Pastor Xavier. So I'm gonna he insists on
a drum
roll.
roll. What do you call that thing that Aeon they call it?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen,
we've got divas in this place over here.
Come on now, you know how it is. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for jumping in on the show this morning. I'm looking forward to having this chat. I'm looking forward to having this conversation with you. And before the show started, we were actually speaking about it, that we need a younger person in the room that is actually about to get into the room. I don't know where he comes from, but he's here now. But ladies and gentlemen, yeah, man, we're going to have this conversation. It is definitely Youth Month. We're looking forward to it. And yeah. Let me hand over.
I told y'all we have divas up in this place. Justin has just waltzed in like the wind, and we're going to give him an opportunity just to say hi to the folks. He's looking dashing. He's looking ready for the day. He's looking ready for the month, in fact.
Come
Hello,
on
Brother
now.
Justin.
Good morning. He did. Come on. Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm excited. I'm really excited for Youth Month. I'm excited to see what's going to happen this month. I have a feeling that something's about to pop off. That's the feeling I have. And I mean, it's a general feel amongst a lot of people, especially the youth. Something's about to happen this month.
Oh, that is nice. That is nice to think that you guys are very positive, especially considering that we just passed through our elections. Our country itself is in a bit of a transitionary place.
Yeah.
We're trying to establish a new government, and the youth is excited. This
Come
is
on
good
now.
news, South Africa. This is very, very good news.
Yeah, it's a nice big change
It is
compared to what we had for the past 30 years. I think we're looking forward to a bit of an adjustment and just a bit of, because
Even if it's shaky.
even if bro, whatever it is better than what we had. Let's just well, we hope it's better than what we had.
Look, guys, from our end, we're just grateful for lights at the moment. I'm just grateful for lights, and I know that's an old person's concern.
So far, so good.
But we want to remain positive, and we want to be in a good vibe about. But it's not Monday, it's not Tuesday, it's not Wednesday. It is Thursday, and we do what we do. So we are going to ask our introspective question. Now, I know Joan loves to say that you must look at yourself and you must talk to the person in the mirror. So, guys, pick up your mirrors. We have to do what needs to be done, and we are going to talk to ourselves today. The question that we are going to ask ourselves is, please share or tell yourself one thing that you would have told or instructed your younger self to do.
Jeez, that's so heated, eh? You want to go first, bro?
No, you can go, bro. Give me some time to think.
People get very romantic about this. I mean, it was a trend a while ago where you would actually write a letter to your younger self. No, that was deep, man.
Okay, I think that's what dramatic. Wow.
So
Well-
your younger self, what is one thing, if you could do a do-over or go back in history,
How far back would you go? How far back would you go? What age
maybe
would you
to
go
your
to?
most impressionable self,
What age would you
is
go to?
one thing that you would say and one thing that you would instruct your younger self to do?
Don't
Okay.
be deep now. Okay?
No, I won't. Boy, don't worry about what people are gonna say about you, man.
Hey.
They're gonna talk whether you are dead or alive. So go for it and don't give up on those dreams. Just go for it. Don't worry about what people have to say about you.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I would say, listen, younger self, listen to that advice too. It was good. But from me to you, I would say that, don't allow too many distractions in your life. I think keep the main thing and run towards that with a greater focus. That's what I would tell you, little Leanne. That's what I need you to do at this stage of your life.
Little Xavier.
Baby Xavier, what you
So
got?
me-
What you got?
Now I'll rewind to about maybe 19.
19.
Ooh, okay, that's a heated age.
Yeah,
though.
Yeah.
I'll rewind to 19 and tell myself that, bro, listen, don't allow the challenge to derail you, right? So the challenge will come, it happens, but stay focused and stay on the track that you were on.
Yeah.
Because now you get derailed, you waste a bunch of time, and then later on you're like, I should have just stuck the course.
Yeah.
Bit hectic,
No, I
eh?
like that. No, I like it. I thought it was very good advice.
To
And I mean,
myself.
I can tell
To yourself.
that to myself now. It's like, don't worry. Don't sweat the small stuff. Don't worry.
Yeah,
People are
that
going
is
to do
true.
and
They're
say
gonna-
exactly what they want.
What they want, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, the funny thing is, I wish it was as simple as just doing this.
Yeah.
Like looking in the mirror and saying, don't worry. But when you're in the situation and in the moment, you do worry.
You do.
Because, I mean, you're young, number one. You're
so
trying to fit
impressionable.
in. You want to be part of this weird society that you're not sure. Are you part of the rejects? Are you part of the cool kids? Are you part of the nerds? Are you the clown of the class? You know,
Yeah.
and at that age, it would be good for somebody to just tell you, listen, just take it easy.
You know, it's
Yeah.
interesting to me though. I never had that challenge to want to fit in. So that it doesn't resonate with me that thought process, because I was like, bro, I don't care what you think. I'm doing do what
So
I
you were
wanna
delivered
do."
long time ago.
Nah, bro.
Yeah, no, he had
Bro,
that
me, I didn't worry what
upper
you
room
think. In fact,
experience.
I was one of those. So when I was running the youth ministry, right,
Yeah.
it was very popular and very big, but it was very controversial,
Yeah.
right,
Okay.
because of the sound selection, the music selection, switching off
lights,
the
all
lights,
of
and
that.
da.
Yeah.
So remember, this
No,
is like
that's true
15
about
years
you,
ago.
actually.
This is 15 years ago where this wasn't normal in churches. Painting the walls black and that people were saying we're making the church a devil worshipping place,
Yeah.
whatever. Ne? So I was the one that I got excited when I went through the comments, because at that time already I had 10,000 people on my Facebook. That time it was before Instagram, before anything.
Yeah.
Then you could
You
change
were
your
like
Facebook.
one of our
page.
first celebrities.
Yeah, I was big that time already.
Kingdom.
Come on now.
Now facts, bro. I changed because Facebook could only go up to 5,000 friends. Ne?
Yeah.
Then when you reach a certain amount of followers and likes and things, then they send you a thing to say, would you like to change this into a public figure page?
Yeah.
Then I changed it over to a public figure page. Then it shot up to 10K. That time already, bro, people were talking crap in the comments. Then first in the beginning, it was like, yo, maybe I should slow down. Then afterwards, when they stopped talking, you were like, oh,
now?
whoa,
Something's
I
wrong
need to
now.
get back to
Yeah, something's
so
wrong.
I was actually energized by people talking nonsense. I was like, that means you're talking about me. That means I'm
Yeah.
in your face. That means I'm doing something that's
Something's
irritating you.
happening.
Because if no one's talking about you, bro, then you become irrelevant.
Yeah.
And so I was always on that, bro, how relevant can I
And you
possibly
know, in
be?
media
Yeah,
and
you've spoken like a true extrovert.
Yeah.
I just don't have that need in life.
and in live performance and media school, when you go to university, they always say to you, no publicity is bad publicity. Even if it's negative, at least people are talking about you.
Yeah.
So
No, this is the bread and butter of the youth today.
the conversation is going back to you all the time, whether
But-
it's in a
but
good or
that's the
bad
thing.
way. People are still searching you. Why is
Yeah.
it bad?
Now,
Yeah.
that's
Why do we want to
now
know what's
that's
going on?
exactly the
And
thing.
No,
But the
social
problem is,
equity is a thing nowadays.
yeah, but
Yeah.
the problem is when they stop talking.
Then you
Then
must
you
know.
sit there and think,
Something's
yo, I'm irrelevant. No one cares anymore.
You know what I would call that? I would call that peace.
Nah, I call that irrelevant. I'm like, I'm not making a difference. I
And
can't.
especially a young person, you want to be part
You're like,
of
yeah, bro, I need
that,
to be
you
there.
know. Speak about it, and then you're just like,
Even if you're talking nonsense, it's alright.
at least you're giving traffic to something.
Nah, but that's the facts. And
Yeah.
I've experienced that. There was one day I posted something and I had a bunch of weight on it. And I was like discouraged for a while. But then I stopped and it actually got to me. Then I stopped posting. Then afterwards I was like, wat nou praat dan, niemand praat dan over hier van die movement, die wat. I need to get back onto that horse and ride it again. And so I guess there's no bad publicity. I mean,
I feel like it's time for confession. What have you done for drama to get people's hands wagging?
it was just the youth.
It was
And the
just
fact
you.
that it was controversial. That's basically all it was. And I wasn't even doing anything wrong. I was just irritating the religious people.
Yeah.
Because religious people get set in a certain way of thinking, in a certain way of doing things. Now I'm at the age though where when I look at the youth, I need to readjust my mindset and don't be that person.
Yeah.
That
Don't
the
be that
people were.
old
Don't be that
person.
old person that was like this with you.
Yeah.
So it's like a constant reset, bruh.
No,
Listen.
it is. But I find that your affiliation or your proximity to youth helps you to bridge the divide. In other words, you can actually create a generation gap because you take your generation and you admonish it as the generation.
Yeah.
And then every other generation that comes after just becomes lesser or silly or you don't understand them, so you dissociate from them. And I think that's what gives you that religious spirit.
Yeah,
So
and that's
just
the
keep it young.
problem.
Keep
But
it
what-
flowing, keep it young.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
need to try and understand because I remember when we were growing up, it was Eminem and Tupac and this and this and that. Those are like the artists
The big
on
people,
the
yeah.
on the platform, right? And then our parents were like, "Wat praat die mense? Jy kan nie eens hoor wat sê hulle nie. Is net 'n
'Cause they rapping too fast.
gefoeker en 'n gerapper en dis." Now the music they listening to now is they call it mumble rap. It was like probably couple of years ago. It was mumble rap. It was like now we the ones saying, "What say die mense? You cannot." So at least our music you could hear what they were saying.
Yeah, please put on OJs or something. Kan nie meer nie.
And this youth of today is really weird, interesting but weird.
Yes.
Because I've been noticing this like as a trend even with my university students and here at youth. They don't want to be forced to do anything.
Oh,
If you
yeah,
don't talk
very,
about
very
them,
passive.
it's chill.
Please
If
don't
you
be pressurizing
if they're not in
people.
it, it's okay.
It's what it
and
is,
I'm like,
bruh.
we wanted to be in it, and you guys are like,
Do you, boo?
do you? Boo? They want to be like on their own, and they even say to you, no. Here's the spotlight. No, I'm okay, and I'm like, guys.
And when you were that age, you were
I
like,
was
yeah.
I wanted to be in it, and now they just like, no. Do you want to?
No.
A photo shoot.
But that's a very interesting attribute, and I'm going to tell you why now. Pastor Zev, you're actually going to pick up on that. I know you are because you have a profound quote that you need to share with people, and that explains much of the dynamic. But I wanted to just touch on something that you had mentioned earlier, and that was your advice that you had given to yourself. And, you know, with youth, if I think back, many of the struggles originated because you don't completely know yourself.
That's true.
It's like youth is the time for you to understand yourself. So you find that people are acting out of sorts because they really they don't know their boundaries, they don't know their preferences. You yourself, you're not a master of yourself, and so it is a very vulnerable period. I think
That's
where
true.
you can make your biggest mistakes. That's where you can have your biggest impact. And if you make the right decisions, you can skyrocket forward because you have that youth and that energy and that direction. Now you had a very I find it quite profound.
Oh, we were just chatting a little bit before we went
the
live, yeah.
generational.
So there's this quote, right, that's been going around. It's obviously not my quote. I also just saw it online, but it's the quote that goes, "Tough times produce tough men," right?
Yeah.
Tough men produce good times.
Okay.
Good times produce weak men. And weak men produce tough times. So it's just the complete cycle.
It's
So
like a
when life
360,
was
yeah.
tough, people had to work harder to get out of the struggle.
So they had a
Then
tough skin
They had a
after
tough
that,
skin
yeah.
to get things done. Then people got to a place where, okay, we're okay now. So we don't have to push as hard anymore.
Yeah.
And then that thought process of I worked hard and so we were just having a small chat before we actually went live. And I was just mentioning this. We are saying that our grandparents were the ones that were in the middle of apartheid. I know my grandfather was working on a mine. He could speak Fanagalo. He spoke 7 languages. And he was and they were living amongst one another. It was cool. There was no before apartheid even. People were living together. It was a nice energy. Then when apartheid came, they were taken out of the plot. They were put into like classified areas,
Yeah.
which is like the colored areas. The white people were put in there. The Indian people were put into their areas, and it was all split and classified. Then what began to happen is that they had to hustle their way through, go to work during the week, come home on weekends only because they were working wherever they were working. And they made life a little bit better for my parents now.
Yeah.
So then my parents come along and they like, we don't want to be like what happened to our parents. We want to be home. We want to be with our kids. We want to spend because we know the hustle of not having our parents
Not
because
having
they're
them
working
there.
for us.
Yeah, correct.
And then they now make it a little bit easier for us. Now we get to the place where it's like, life is easy, life is alright, life is okay. And then we make it so easy for our kids that they don't now know how to hustle anymore. And then it repeats the cycle because now then they go back to poverty, then they have to start over,
Yeah.
then they have to fight again. And so it's just that weird transition of different generations, and that was just
No,
the
but
thought
it's
process,
big, man, because if you look at where we are as a country, we came through oppression, which was difficult and a struggle. Then we had the struggle because people's spirits rose up and emerged. Because this is essentially what Youth Day is all about. Youth Day is commemorated because it was a day that the youth just rose up. They said, we're
Yeah.
done with these things.
A
We're
big
done with this.
uprising.
Yeah,
June
we're done. We're done
61.
with this language, the language of the oppressor. They rose up. And so you find that is the tough people that are being formed over there. And so that is the history of our country and where we find ourselves. So the struggle is over. We found democracy. We're in democracy. So now we're in a place where there's so much access. There's so much opportunity. It's a time of freedom. It really is. And so I'll read the quote again because I think it's relevant. Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. Now, I piggybacked on that because you mentioned that, the youth can be so passive and indifferent and, it is what it is. And
Do you think it's spoiled for choice, like what you mentioned now?
You
It's that kind of like
are.
spoiled for choice. We don't
Yeah,
have
and the
access.
age and the
It's
age
access.
of information that we have. We just
It's
have
access.
anything.
Yeah.
Anything. We have
It's
everything.
access, and I know it's great to have access.
It is, yeah.
But my struggle right now is, and I'm doing the study in my master's where AI is now coming to play
Yeah,
and
even
even
worse.
more access to our youth. And I'm looking at how lazy are we going to become?
Yeah.
How lazy are we going to become when you just ask AI anything?
And it
It
does.
can
gives
literally
you-
write you a whole essay. Can
It
literally
does everything for you. It's been writing music for people now. It's creating soundtracks for people.
Yeah.
It's writing films. It's doing all of that thing. So we just take a step back because now all the work is being done for us. And it's great to have access. But the problem with access is access creates laziness.
But do you
Yeah.
think that will take away from creativity also?
Yes.
Human creativity, because a human touch makes a difference. I was
It
just
really
saying this.
does. That's true.
Also, just while we're chatting, there's this whole element of becoming jaded because of access, right? And because of online access. Because I was saying that a couple of years ago, if you travel like to America, it was like a thing. It was like, oh, you went to America, you went here, you went there. Now it's like that. Yeah, so what, bro? I can go on YouTube, go watch 100 videos about this. I can go in this and this.
And it'll be like I'm there.
And it'll be like I'm there, even though I'm not there. But there is an element of reality and there is an
Yeah.
element of the human touch. Even though the AI can do that, I still think we have to get to a place where it's like, nah, man, it just feels artificial. Or do you think we'll become so accustomed to the artificial that it's just normal?
I definitely think it's going to become so normal to us that it's just going to become secondary life. You don't have to do anything.
No, you don't. You
So
don't.
sorry.
And it's like physiologically, your brain is wired to advance the more you do things.
Yeah.
In other words, it creates neural pathways every time you do something and accomplish something. And then a new pathway is created in your mind. You can actually advance who you are as a person by just doing hard things
Yeah.
and progressing from one space to another. So if we are kind of outsourcing a lot of our own neurological pathways, then it will impact us.
You're taking away from the fact that you had to build that muscle
do
to
have to
get
build it,
to that
yeah.
place. So it
And
makes you
muscle
lazy.
memory is a thing.
Yeah.
It is a thing.
Muscle
yeah.
memory is a thing because if you teach your brain that you don't have to do things anymore, you don't
Yeah.
have to do as much anymore, you become so comfortable that when you have to do something, it's like your brain tells your body, hey, something's wrong.
It's like spell check
Yeah,
on your
don't
phone.
do it.
Yeah.
Remember, you had to have known how to spell
You
a
had to
word.
have a
Now you
dictionary,
don't
bro.
care, bro. Now you just write it and if
Yeah.
it underlines a thing,
You
then
just
you choose
click
the
on it
right
and
one,
it
like chop,
gives you
okay.
UK English
And
US
autocorrect
English,
and
South African English. Where were you
So
want
you
to
don't
go
have
to?
to worry about how to spell anymore.
Yeah.
But you can just guess
But
what
that's-
more or less the word
No, you
sounds
do.
like.
Guys,
No,
yo,
but
it's
it
so
does
tough.
affect you because if you take a pen and write on a piece
Aye,
of paper, it's
you're
like
gonna be
no,
lost.
you do have to wonder. It's like is this deception? Is this And
And
you
you know,
do have to. I
even
don't-
now,
yeah.
I sit and I love my phone and my tech, but I love writing with a pen and a paper
Yes.
because that sometimes it just helps me. Okay,
To remember
Yeah.
what you
remember. And in
can
last
write.
week, I was stuck on a word.
yeah.
I was stuck on a word. What is it? Something elocution.
See, you're still stuck on the
And
word.
I'm sitting there and I'm like, no, man. And I'm writing and I'm writing and I'm writing. And I got
Eloquation,
so upset with
elocution.
myself that I went to Google and I'm like, this is what I want to say. And Google's like, that's not the right spelling. And I'm like, oh, I felt so dumb because
Yeah.
when I put it on my phone, like Xavier's saying, I just have to click and it gives it to me. Now when
It
I'm writing,
does.
I'm like, something's wrong here. My pathways are confused, you know?
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. I actually read something. I use my GPS, Google Maps all the time. And I do it because I like the intel that it gives me. I like the information. I like the distances. I like the times. I like knowing ETA. So I do it for stats. But I was actually reading that when I ride around, I should stop doing that. And I noticed that as soon as I switch it off, I feel a bit disoriented.
Yeah, you feel lost.
I take the incorrect route. No, because I've done it for so long.
It's true.
I do.
I
And
use Waze.
Okay? No, you
Oh,
must stop
but
it.
Waze,
must
you know
stop
what?
it.
No. Waze takes you to the Bundus, bro.
Is it?
I went to the men's camp 2 weeks ago. I ended up in Brakpan. Guys,
Brakpan
I
Waze.
was so panicking. I was like, what is going on? Because Waze says no. Here's a quicker way to get to where you're going.
Meantime,
Waze
you
is
gaan
Mind
Brakpan-
you, this place has there's two versions of this place.
With the same
One
name.
is the same name, bro, same name. One is in Brakpan, the other one is where?
I don't know.
Just past Clearwater Mall,
Yeah.
that's right there. So you can imagine the split between the two.
Yeah.
And it's 11 o'clock at night and I got mad because now I'm putting the radio soft.
Yeah, you don't have time for that at 11 o'clock
I'm
at
thinking,
night.
put the radio soft so I can think. And I'm like, why am I putting the radio soft to think? Because the GPS is saying you've arrived, but there's nothing happening.
Right at what?
Yeah, I'm like, so I'm trying to call Xavier and I'm like, I'm scared. There's something wrong.
And we busy lecturing.
And they
we got-
lecturing, and I was like,
no one's coming to the
GPS.
party.
And everyone puts it softer when they get lost. They're like, okay, let me think quickly. But you
Yes.
don't think before you go to the place,
Yes.
Like, and it's...
But that's a valid danger, and it really does happen. And now I find myself switching on my... But Waze also tells you where the cops are and who's stuck on the side of the road and all
Oh,
that
so you
kind
say I
of stuff.
mustn't
So-
Google Map, I must Waze.
Waze is you're
Much
gonna see
better.
things there by Waze that you're not gonna see by Google Maps. You're gonna see where everything is and what's going on.
Yeah.
But the thing is, now I'm used to it when I drop my kids at school in the morning. Now I put it on just to see what time I'm gonna get there.
You
just
see,
to
you
see
do
how
the
far
same.
the
You do
off-ramp
the
is.
same
I'm
thing.
like,
You do it for the
I
stats.
know where I'm going.
But what we constantly do is outsource our thinking. But
Yeah.
and how that relates to what we see in the youth is the type of persons that are being produced
Yeah.
and the quality. Now you have an interesting industry because you're in the performing arts industry.
Correct.
So you can't really outsource your singing. You can't outsource your movement, your breathing. You can't outsource
getting
all
to
those
that now.
things.
It's getting to that.
But you would have seen a transition from what it used to be
To what it is now.
Yeah, because the thing with technological shifts is that they happen very exponentially. In other words, they change very quickly and quite
Quite drastically, yeah.
quite
I think
drastically.
for in my case, what I've noticed is after COVID,
Yeah.
a lot has changed in terms of digital meets real life, like the reality
Yes,
and digital.
Yeah.
They've sort of done this.
Yeah,
But
the
now
blend.
we've constantly, and this is a conversation I have with my colleagues all the time.
Yeah.
And we talk about every single year when I get new intake of students, it's a completely different people that I have to teach.
Yes.
And I'm sitting
What do
and
you
we always
see?
think, is this a COVID generation? And we're like, this is not COVID, this is after COVID. So because that change happened so quickly,
Yeah.
these kids are more used to being at home, doing things from home, watching you on a screen speak, and then
Yes.
do all of that. To the point now where we have music kids at our campus that they don't want to do the performing live for you anymore.
Yeah, because it's not necessary.
They're like, I'll take a video and I'll send it to you, bro. And I'm like, how is that?
I wanna throw.
How is that going to
I wanna throw a spanner in
build
that
your
works.
live performance and
Skills, yeah.
your skills and being that
Knowing
type
how
of
to
artist,
be in front of
knowing
an
how to-
audience.
and engage with your audience. They
Yeah.
just like, okay, so I just sent it to you.
We're done.
Give me your feedback. Okay, yeah, sure. Then they leave and I'm like, hey,
What just
is going on?
happened?
And they all like they to that point now where it's like we sitting and we're thinking, okay, how do you make it more interesting now for them to come in and not want to just sit back and watch that and actually get them on stage and feeling that and
Yeah.
being present in that space, because it's quite different from just watching people online. And I think it's the saddest thing that we have done after COVID is going to this whole digital space where now everything or 90% of anything university, Wits is 100, almost like 70% online still,
Yeah.
right? UJ the same. After where I work's the same.
And
We're
how can it
merging
be?
the two. But
Yeah.
it's because the entire world is going into that digital
But
space.
I want to ask a spanner in the works here, and I'm not to derail too much, but my conspiracy mind is telling me that there's a purpose behind why things are being pushed in that direction. I'm
Okay.
just being.
You're being that
It's
guy.
either
this
my
morning.
Okay,
conspiracy
let's have
mind.
it. Let's have it. What is
Okay,
it?
okay, tell
Oh,
me.
it's my
We'll bite.
it's my inside spirit is saying there's a reason why things are being pushed in a certain direction
Yeah.
to disconnect human beings from one another. I don't know what the reason is, but it just seems very intentional to push things into that direction, because I think it will have consequences in the end. I
also think so. I agree
there
with
will
you.
be consequences, and I think if you look at even the consequences that we're experiencing now already, where people are like, we
It's
try
like
to
they
employ
disjointed
someone
from
and
reality,
this
yeah.
person is disconnected from what's going
Yeah,
on. Even the
disjointed, yeah.
consequence that you have in family now, where if you think about it now, when you get home, 2 generations ago, we all sit around the table and have lunch or supper, and then I was day, I was school, I was this, I was that.
Yeah.
And now it's like that one's on the couch with his phone, that one's on the laptop, that one's watching something on YouTube. And now there's this big disconnect, and I find myself guilty of the same thing. My kids are watching YouTube, I'm on my phone here, my wife's upstairs watching a series or something. But there's a problem because now it's a disconnect in the family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and,
when
and
do
I
we-
also got I think a new revolution will come about where people are actually gonna go to unplug.
Yup.
I think it's a
It's
necessary
already
revolution.
busy happening. People are already
I
saying,
think I think we need to see restaurants that saying this is an unplugged zone. Sorry, madam, there is no Wi-Fi
must
permitted
leave your
here.
phone there.
Yes,
But you know the
no, but
funny
I
thing
would,
is-
I would definitely vote for that party if it is unplug
nah,
everything.
but it's already starting to happen.
And you have to be deliberate. Like there are a couple of things that I've decided to be deliberate because I am a parent as well. So when my kids do their homework, they like to ask me things, and I don't permit it. And I don't permit them to. With research, they have to use research tools. But things like words, I need them to take a dictionary, and I need them to find the word.
So that they understand for themselves.
Yes,
And not just
they
go on
need to be
Google.
able to. Yes, and you can see how quickly they adapt to the resources that are available. The kids are 11 and 12, and the boy is very perceptive to the. He is actually to the extent where he'll say, "Hey Siri," you know what I mean? Yeah, don't talk to me, Siri.
And there's Sari just woke up.
Yes.
And I do the same thing now. I
No,
started becoming like it also. I history and then I say,
No, you do that because it's
Sari
available.
doesn't understand me.
I
I think
Sari
my English
understands
is
you.
not Englishing enough for her. Because when I say it, she says, I don't understand what you're saying. But you
and-
know, the interesting part is, I always do this when I go out.
Yes.
And it's ever rarely that I do go out because, schedule is so hectic then. So when I went out for supper a month or 2 back,
Yeah.
I walked in and everybody's on their phone.
And you saw
Everyone's
it
literally
immediately.
sitting
But
like
it's
this,
irritating.
and there's a whole family that's sitting, mom, dad, and kids sitting on their phone, but no one is having a word of conversation. And I'm like, you could have done this at home. You're spending money outside to not say a word to each
Yeah,
other.
because the mama hasn't got time to cook anymore. She's
Yeah,
on her
and
phone.
people are just like,
okay, so now is my conspiracy
Disconnected.
making more sense? Is it,
I will-
it's
I will
either my
bite-
cons-
I will
either-
bite
it's
game.
either
I'll
my
bite.
conspiracy or it's the Holy Spirit. But I'm leaning more towards the Holy Spirit because I feel like there's an intentional push to derail families.
because that's
There's
the
an
intimate
intentional
human
push.
human connection that you essentially getting rid
disconnecting
of,
humans from each other,
right?
yeah.
It's that split between reality versus what's happening digitally, and now VOR and POVs coming in where they can take you into that whole space where you can.
with the goggles
with
and
the-
all that.
Yeah, you sit at home and you are in this whole space. So why do I need to go there? Number one, you're robbing yourself from the experience.
Yeah.
I think. And number two, you are stopping yourself from actually having a proper human connection with other people, like networking and marketing for yourself. And
Yeah.
we've sort of almost like it feels to me that we're dumbing down on
But
that.
they'll argue you can do that online.
Exactly. But online is, but there's bots that speak to you, computer bots that speak to you. So
Yeah.
you're never sure if this is actually someone on the other side of the screen unless it's a video call.
It's actually scary if you really
No,
think about
it's
it.
Yes.
like a reprogramming. It's like we are all being reprogrammed. Like even your algorithms on your phone, they are very suggestive. In fact, they are a bit
Guys, you
pushy,
just
if
think
you
about
ask me.
something and then your phone tells you 2 weeks ago I
Oh,
was
you
thinking
talk about
about
it then.
Colgate.
Yeah.
Guys, Colgate. I said to my colleague, I need to get more toothpaste, and I literally asked. I said, "What toothpaste did you use?" She's like, "No, Colgate, Fresh Month." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm the optic white guy. I love my teeth and everything." As I'm
2
sitting in
minutes
class,
later, Colgate.
find Colgate now. And you're scrolling, and this is the new price. Discam has a special. Clicks has, and I'm like, I never asked my phone about this.
Yeah.
And then we realized actually your phone is listening to every single thing that you have to say.
Yeah,
It does
and you know this type of suggestion and excessive suggestion removes who you are authentically, because you're not bored enough for your brain to go into itself and try and find what is it that actually interests you, what is it that you want to do. I also do have a legitimate observation that I have inquired about, and that's why I'm very interested to see how your landscape in the institution has changed. And I speak to a lot of primary school teachers, and they say that the fundamental learning of many of primary schoolers, they're becoming a bit inept. In other words, you can't, there are 3 phases in the primary school. You can't keep a child back twice in one phase.
Okay.
So you find that children don't know very basic things, but because they cannot be kept back twice in one phase, they have to go over to the next phase. Oorgeplaas, yeah.
No, I had a friend of mine that failed grade 11 like 4 times, and I'm just like,
Yeah,
Oh, we
you
used to
could
go
have
aan
failed
en
anymore.
en dat was oorgeplaas.
jy is nog steeds hier. Wat gaan aan?
Yeah.
Met hulle baard. You want to have your 21st by the tuck shop, remember that?
That is so mean.
That is
that is
not
so
every
weird,
21st by the tuck shop.
Sure.
Wanneer is toe gaan?
It is
So
true,
why I'm
though.
saying
It's
that
true.
is because it's going all the way back, which means that people's foundational phases are being impacted by
By technology.
Yeah, but I think it's too early. It's too early of an onset. Because tactile education with young children are still very important. They need to touch, feel. They need to
Yeah.
play with dough. They need to. These are developmental spaces, and it's necessary for your.
And for your brain also. It connects
Yes,
pathways in
for
the
your brain. It's all about the brain. So if you think about what other types of conversations we are going to have 20 years from now, what are we going to see? These grown children with
That just gave me
a lack
anxiety.
of motor skills, recluses, people that just live on this online life and game.
That quote that you mentioned, because I think
that's coming back up.
I think it's gonna come full cycle to the point where exactly what you said earlier, where people are gonna be like, lost no the phones and lost the internet
Yeah.
and lost no.
It's going to be the online rebellion.
It's gonna get to a point where there's going to be movements that's gonna stand for, like what you said
Yeah.
earlier, like
Get back
disconnect.
to nature.
Yeah, disconnect. Let's switch
The
off our
trees
phones.
are our friends.
But there's already people there's
Not
already
the
people
trees are friends.
that's doing that. This is a no cell phone zone. This is a no Wi-Fi
it's
zone.
necessary. It's necessary because we're not going to win the game. The advancement and you must admit, when you've picked up your phone and you've gone into your favorite stuff, you can stay there.
Yo,
Go
you
down
stay
the
there
rabbit
the whole
You can
night.
be lang idle. You
Yeah.
can stay there in a
What
place
they
that
call
you really
it,
shouldn't be.
doom scrolling, nah?
Yeah.
Yeah, doom
You
scrolling.
then you know it's so-
whiling.
You're just going, and TikTok is the best place for that. I found myself 3 o'clock in the morning. I didn't even realize the
TikToking.
time, because it takes one funny video for me, and I like to laugh.
Yes.
So if I see something making me, there I go.
Yeah.
There I go. I even got to the point where I sent, I sent Pastor Lester something. I found this lady that does Bible stories via animal voices, right? And I found it because I was doom scrolling on TikTok, and I'm like, that is cool. And I sent it to him, and he was laughing. He's like, where'd you get this? I said, I don't know. I was just
found it.
scrolling.
The worst thing is if you scroll past by mistake and then you
you
can't
go-
find
you
it
can't go
again.
back
You're
and you're
like,
like,
Ivan, where's that thing?
You
And
see,
I'm
I
trying
was
to
just
figure out,
I was just making a point, but you guys just brought it home. Y'all got
that's
problems.
and that's every single day. Like, even with the people I sit with, like my friends and my family, we talk about how funny it is at 2 o'clock in the morning. This one's still awake. What are you doing? Scrolling. TikTok,
Now there's a
bro.
video about it. It's just you. Then there's the one that goes to bed. Did you see that video?
Yeah,
Then he
this
goes
is-
to bed. He's like, nice and early, 9
Nice
o'clock.
and-
And then he lays. Then he closes himself. Then he's like, then he takes his phone. Then he starts scrolling. Then it shows the time. 10 o'clock.
11,
o'clock. He's
12.
laughing. 12, 1, 2. And then 4 o'clock in the morning, he's like, now I must go sleep.
And then the alarm
No.
goes,
Tired in the morning.
6 o'clock.
No,
2
it-
hours of sleep just because of scrolling.
Well, you guys have totally made the point. In fact, you've excelled at making this point.
But I want to know what's happening in the US now, because Biden he banned TikTok. So what's happening?
I
with
don't think he's
People
gonna
are
do that
sleeping. That's what's happening. People are sleeping.
I'd love to sleep,
tonight.
guys.
Instagram's just gonna adopt those
Yeah.
algorithms.
But everything is the same, isn't it?
the same now,
Meta
yeah.
bought WhatsApp, Facebook, and Instagram, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Meta
right?
is metaring. It's a lot. But you must always look at how it translates. And I think if you want to go back to youth and the relevance of us as a people, where we find ourselves in the country. So if you look at the stats, it's some crazy stuff. I'm going to just read this quickly for you. South Africa, like many countries globally, grapples with the challenge of youth unemployment.
Yeah, that's a big one.
This is supported by the statistics indicating that a 45.5 unemployment rate among young individuals aged 15 to 34, which is the youth designation, in contrast to the national average of the 32.9% in the first quarter of 24. In other words, things are regressing. Things are regressing. If we're talking about 45.5% of youth unemployment, coupled by the fact that these kids are now orientated slightly differently, if we don't do like a deliberate, or we take stock first and then do deliberate campaigning to gear our youth towards something else, we're going to have riots, and it's going to look like something else, like online riots. Like, go online today and protest something. Cancel culture. Cancel culture is
Cancelled. But I think you brought up something extremely interesting, because again, when we talk about this digital space, I think for me that's one of the biggest red flags that I have noted for myself. Because if everything is so easy for you, companies have now digitalized so many parts of where people are actually coming in to do the job. Printing companies half the time don't even need people anymore. So people who have gotten the skills in printing and, all of that, which was a big thing back then, people wanted to go into printing and advertising and all of that, and understanding all of these things. Now, the machines are doing those work for us, right? And so people are starting to lose their jobs. And now, because everything's so digitalized, there is no more gap to bring in any young people.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that I'm thinking. I'm saying, okay, guys, you need to realize, yes, it's great to have all of this access, but look at what's happening to the jobs that it's creating, because now it's going to constantly go down. If you look at the end of the year, those stats will probably shoot up to over 50, over 60%, just because everything is now digitalized. So there's no space for a youngster to come in.
But what does the end product look like in that world? Because at some point
Yeah.
it has to come full cycle again.
But it is you see, what we're creating is a different world.
Yeah.
A different world. We're no longer shifting culture. We're creating another world. I think that there's going to be such a huge disparity between people that are living in the different world and people that are still, on grassroots, maybe perhaps struggling with poverty, don't have a lot of access to, the digital space and the digital world. That kind of a disparity is going to exist. There's people living in some kind of a real world and see people living in this different world.
But that's the true thing that you're saying, because if the unemployment is on that rate, and the fact that, especially here in South Africa, people are below the poverty line, that means they don't have access to
all of these
to all
wonderful
this
things,
technology.
No, they don't.
So where does that leave those people? But then, do you think that majority of the world, let's say 8 billion people, how many of those people do have access to
I think
technology?
less than half of that, actually.
But that's what I'm saying. So that means you don't necessarily get that complete take over them, because if half of the world there's those Tamagotchi phones just to be able to phone someone.
So I read something interesting this morning. You know Starlink of Elon Musk?
Yeah.
I saw it pop up this morning that it went live in the Amazon region, where people are living remote lives.
Yeah.
And now, because they've gotten access to internet, the funniest thing is happening. They are addicted to social media now.
Yes.
And I'm like, even the people who are not part of this big society, they understand this is happening now. Because remember, Starlink is, I speak under correction if I say it's free.
Yeah, it's like a free Wi-Fi.
It's a free
kind of
Wi-Fi.
thing, yeah.
And that's happening in the Amazon rainforest with people and tribes that are, if you look at how society's placed out, they are still far back from all the other things that we have now.
Yeah,
they're not as
almost primitive,
technologically
yeah.
advanced. And they are now addicted to social media. And somebody was commenting and saying, guys, how did we get from enjoying nature and loving life and
yeah.
having human connection to now, over 3 months, we're now addicted and nobody's speaking to anyone, and what's going on? And people are like, red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag.
But
red
that's what
flag.
makes me think it's intentional, because there's an intentional shift towards that disconnect,
Yeah.
because it's unnatural.
It is unnatural.
But also,
very
if the
unnatural.
youngsters don't have skills, Leanne, in terms of going into a workspace, that's also a very big thing, right?
But this is what's causing the unemployment, is because the skills are different. You see, we speak about AI, and the one thing about technology is it's something that you can't stop.
It's always going to advance.
And when you demonize it, you basically dissociate from it, which
Yeah.
means that you stop progress in your own way. So you have to develop this kind of balance between
Correct.
boundaries and technological advancement and who I essentially want to be. So there's a mature decision that you have to make in order to achieve that balance. But now you find that AI has now come and entered into the market field,
Yeah.
which means that if you have skills or a manner in which you can wield AI, then you will advance.
You'll be part of that.
You will
that
advance,
Yeah,
yes.
that's the end
And
goal,
you
yeah.
stop and you demonize AI and you say, I'm not dealing with that. That's the devil stuff. I'm just done with y'all.
Then you're excluding yourself.
You're
from
excluding
people.
yourself, and then you get into that regressive space.
Correct.
And so you see the job market itself is different. So now you find a large majority of the youth in South Africa, comes from disadvantaged areas.
Correct.
Even though we have an era of democracy, we also have an era of political corruption. So it means that the funds and the projects
It's
that were
not
supposed to wasn't funneled.
properly
Was not
allocated.
funneled in the places where it was needed for
Correct.
real economic transformative change. So it is a conundrum because you see the increase of the youth being more marginalized, being disenfranchised. With all the opportunity, you still being
Is
disenfranchised.
that intentional or is that just greed?
That is a product, I believe, of greed and corruption because there are going to be consequences. And
I mean,
that's what
we're sitting in the consequences now.
We are.
And that's what's causing our country, I believe, 100%, and it's pushing us to go back. Because we are not advancing at the speed of light, like, with your secondary world countries and your first world countries. Just because there's so much funds, we have the money. I believe
Yeah.
we definitely have the money
It's
and the
going-
resources.
And we have the
Going to the
resources.
wrong
And the resources,
places.
it's going to the wrong places. And instead of us taking that money and pushing it into the advancement of our youth, if we're looking at this technological advancement, train the youth to become, more acute with everything that's happening, and then put that skill set in. And like you're saying, progress as it progresses. I think then we'll probably have less stats than we have now for youth that's unemployed. But if we don't do that, it's a continuation of corruption and looting, and we constantly misusing the funds, we're going to end up with people protesting literally in the streets again. And this is going to be a repetition of those big riots that we saw back then coming out now. And I mean, it started already. It started with the fees must fall thing. It's going again. Last year there was another talk of another big strike just because universities have become more expensive, and NSFAS is there was a ghost account that was paid 3 million or something rand. So people's fees were out, and people are starting to get edgy because this is something that's going to happen. And if we don't sort it out now, we're going to be unemployed, which is already happening.
Yeah.
And then we have youth that are smart, because you drive on the road and you see these homeless people with these things on, and I see certified electrician, I see certified CA, I see certified people that are learned.
Yeah.
I mean learned, sorry. Woo, that
Or have a
English.
skill.
Or a skill,
And
and
actually studied and all that.
they are not being able to get a job. And that's the problem that I see. And if that on that scale is like that, how much more the people who don't even have access to that at all?
No, it is. And I think that's where the distraction comes in. Because if you want to look at a forecasting of the youth and their trajectory, you don't look at what you see now. You look at the ones that are about 5-10 years younger, because they are the ones that are going to be projecting into the future.
They're the new generation.
Yeah, Zev and I were laughing earlier because you see people that were like born in 2000s. It was before we were born. And you're like, and you are big. You were born in the 2000s and you are big, because you recall.
How old will be a person that's born in 2000? How old will they be?
24, big.
Something's wrong, guys. Something's wrong.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. So it's like you almost forget about that there's an emerging people here.
You are now the
that-
auntie.
You are now the uncle. I saw a meme that says, please, I'm now not that uncle. I can't go to a funeral because we don't know funeral songs. What are we going to do and sing when the people are going down? Drop it low. Bring it up slow. Yes, no. People don't know
I
funeral
can't
songs.
believe you said that.
I promise you,
No.
our generation do not know funeral songs. If
No,
you
that's
ask them,
true.
they're going to be like, What must we say
Where's
now?
where's the playlist? Can you please just I'll
Siri,
Bluetooth.
hey Siri, it's a funeral play, please. Sad music.
Sorry, this is a funeral. Please play funeral playlist.
Yes, activating funeral playlist.
And nobody will know any of those songs. You understand?
Too soon.
And now nobody's gonna cry at the funeral because they're just like, yo,
Yeah.
something's wrong.
or the testimonies are a bit different. You know, I knew this person when they had 5,000 followers.
And now they have
I
97,000 followers.
remember liking their posts quite a bit.
Exactly.
Did
No,
you
that's
actually
not.
meet the person? No, but
No.
I do.
That's not even
I
a
do
joke.
follow
We had
them.
such a good relationship
yeah.
online, like, you know.
That's not even a joke. That's
I've
very
been
well.
on his Instagram.
Virtual brother, virtual sister, you know.
That can really be a thing. That can really be a
It is like your virtual relationship
Yes,
status.
I met
It's
Justin
rough.
when he only had 1,000
Followers.
followers.
Now he has 90,000 followers, and I'm so
Yeah.
sorry for
Those
those
were
people
the
who follow
days.
him.
Those were the young
you know.
days. Yeah.
The young days. Ah, that's what
For us,
crazy we
for
think.
us day oneers, we know.
They want us. Woo.
No, it is crazy.
Jeez, that's it's
Yeah,
They
and
ridiculous.
may
that's how
argue.
you
I
can
followed
see-
him first when he still had 100.
You didn't follow him. You came when he was 5,000. I know him the longest. Huh? What do you know?
Nah, but that's true. That is true. We got some
Jeez.
comments.
You guys really latched onto that one.
Nah, we're just telling you.
Because that's
Go
literally
ahead.
the reality. It's a
No,
reality.
it is. It is. Go ahead, Xavier.
So Trevor was saying that good morning, Pastor Lee, enjoying the chat, and then Clayton was saying AI is supposed to be an assistant, not to be the creative. And then Robin Lee was saying Zakes and Justin, yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Then Clayton was saying video calls are also fake now, which is the thing. It is, they put that whole face tune thing on, it put makeup on for you. I'm looking at myself, I'm like, nah man, I'm also now not so light skinned. Got a light skinned friend.
Why am I so milky
Look
white
like
here?
Michael Jackson. And then it says your phone is always listening, Clayton, which is true, because how does it know you're saying hey Siri?
Yeah, that is very true.
And then Nathan Phillips is saying, the world has always moved forward technologically. What they say? We have to be what? Adapt and learn. We have to adapt and learn how to use AI to benefit you, which is
That's
what
true.
we
That's
saying.
what you were saying
Yeah.
earlier.
Then it says love the energy that is from Glenda.
Thank you.
Best work, guys.
Yeah, no, this one is an interesting conversation. I have one question that I want to ask. What is this space going to look like in a year's time? Not even 20 years' time. In a year's time. Will we
it's moving
still?
quickly.
It's rapid.
Can I ask a
rapid,
question?
Rapid
Do you think
pace.
people will accept the chip?
Okay, why
That
don't you
Elon
ask
Musk-
it yourself? Will you accept
I
the chip?
won't. No, I won't.
What
is
chip
this
now?
Is this because
That
of
Elon
your?
Musk chip.
Is this because of your?
It's because of my religious conviction.
beliefs?
And not
I
that
didn't even know
I
there
don't,
was a chip
I
coming
don't-
out, guys. Am I so disconnected from this reality?
Nah,
What's going
I
on?
don't think the chip is 666. But I just don't want a foreign
What chip
thing
is this, man?
controlling my brain. The
it-
Elon
it's-
Musk
it
chip
can-
that they gonna implant into your brain. What is it? What is the name?
Oh, that you
The
can.
Eurolink.
Oh, and then what do you do?
And then
You
you
connect
basically have
it.
Google in your brain.
You've got
bro.
a sim inside of you.
He looks
Nah,
like
how do I
someone that will
sleep
take
after
it.
that? Imagine, no.
You scroll here, I
Yeah,
in your
scroll in
mind.
your mind.
He
It's
laugh,
like
he
that.
stop. He's scrolling.
I watched a very disturbing movie. You know the Black Mirror series on Netflix?
I watched it, yeah.
Yeah. So one of the episodes, and they had where they put like a film in your eye.
Then
So-
you can rewind and stuff.
Yes, so you would basically sit with the remote. No, and then
Imagine you
I saw
started
that.
on the mall, pressing back. to
yes,
watch it.
yes,
And you can
call it dirty.
rewind your own thoughts.
So you go through
Okay,
your
but
day.
that's cool though.
Eh?
That is cool. Rewind my own thoughts.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I mean, it's on the same level as the Eurolink chip. This is what I'm saying. It's almost integrated with your person. So if the Eurolink is allowed, I don't know the capacities of it or the
How far it
yeah
can-
the parameters of what the chip is going to do. But I mean, it's just the first thing. And so this movie, which is the
Black Mirror.
yeah, the Black Mirror, which is the fiction thing. So Eurolink is real, but this thing that they implant into your eyes, where you can sit and rewind yourself. So you no longer have to recant stories. You basically connect to the screen here, and then I say,
show it-
"Let me show you what I saw today," and I'm rewinding. but
Guys,
it's my
that
day.
is super great.
Nah, but
No,
you know what
you must
happened
not
in
be
that
this
episode?
excited about
You
each
know what
other.
happened in
I
that
will love
episode,
it.
bruh? That man is what his wife is rewinding there to his chair.
You watched it.
Yeah,
You watched it, yeah. So you can get called
He's
out and say,
rewinding
"Give me
to
your
his chair.
remote. Give me your remote. Let me see what you did today."
Come and see where. Who
Imagine
did
I
you look
wake
at
up and
today?
your partner has a remote. Okay,
Yes,
so
that's what
you-
happened.
So you was busy with
That's
his
what
Oh,
happened.
okay. So
And
that's what you
And
thought
that's
about
what
the last
happens.
night when I was
But that's
complaining
what
about
happens in the
dishes.
episode. Exactly that.
No, it
Where
is
it becomes a
exactly
bit-
that. So it highlights the dysfunction with
Hey!
with technology and humanity. That's what the Black Mirror series is really all about, and that's what we see. So when you're talking about the chip, you're asking about the chip. So if we get the chip, we basically can
much does it
integrate.
cost?
No, Justin,
I'm
stop
excited.
it. If you get the chip, you become integrated with it, and advancement. It will just continue because life isn't. We don't.
So you
start
must go
life
now
like that.
for maintenance on your chip every 6 months.
Updates, yeah.
Connect to Starlink and then you must now lay like this for 30 minutes. Whoa, that's crazy. You know what? I'm gonna say I like the idea.
Yeah.
I doubt I'd get it just because I'm thinking to myself, what would be the likelihood of me actually associating myself from everything then?
Yeah.
Because as busy as I am, it's difficult to come and to sit with people and have talks because you're thinking, this is what I have to do.
You have to
be at work, I have to-
reorientate yourself once again.
And imagine I'm sitting in a space with you guys, and in my head I'm like, I'm here, but
He's
Yeah.
very werkie in your
I'm in my head here.
You somewhere else.
Jy scroll by die Bahamas.
TikTok.
Jy scroll heel by beach. It's like, yeah, the youth.
The youth.
Beach in you come. No, but it's true what Leandra was also saying. Yeah, she says Covey has taught us that even the most skeptical will bow to the powers that be, and that
Yeah.
we've seen also.
Because we have bowed, and
Yep.
you must be honest with yourself, or you must keep yourself honest. We have bowed. If I don't think it's possible for me to leave or forget my phone at home.
In that
Because
way, yeah, we
I
have
will
bowed.
be
Look
very
what Covey, I didn't bow.
disorientated.
I fought tooth and nail.
You'll be very disorientated. I
Yeah.
wouldn't know where to go because I went on my Google Maps. People were able to communicate with me. And it's amazing how much communication has now become necessary. I was
Yeah.
thinking about that yesterday because I'm thinking, I don't want to talk to people when I'm on the phone. I don't, when I'm in the bathroom. I don't want to talk to people when I'm showering. I don't want to talk to people at times when I am now forced to talk to people. And I find that an intrusion into my privacy. But I mean, that is totally a side point altogether.
No,
That
but
has got nothing
no,
to
it's
do with-
actually not a side point because I have the same thing now. I had a new number, né? And I intentionally decided I don't want anyone to have this number.
Yes, and why do you
because
have that need?
I don't. Leave me alone. I don't want to speak to you.
Yeah, our
I'm-
social media is
I'm
constantly
going
going.
home
Like my
now.
WhatsApp, every
Don't
single
me-
minute, I'm like, this is what's happening.
Yes.
I
And
don't want to
you-
know what's happening. I don't want to speak
You
to
constantly
anyone.
just,
Leave
if
me
you
alone.
don't answer one message, the messages pile up, and then you get to responding to a message sent on Monday and next week Thursday, and it's just like,
It's
there's no time.
overwhelming.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah, so let's talk about what we are seeing in the youth. And maybe we can, because we are all in ministry, maybe we can dabble into the types of things that we see presenting or manifesting in the youth's lives and how we have to kind of deal with that as ministries. So you come in and these kids are overwhelmed because firstly, I think that their sense of reality somehow shifted.
Correct.
They can go anywhere,
100%.
like you had mentioned. They can be in Dubai in 5 minutes, and your real achievement is really diluted, and it has no impact on them.
That's true.
Then, secondly, their association with online or their attachment to it has also produced a lot of unhealthy things. And I say things because brain patterns, habits, speech, those things, ways of navigating the world is unhealthy. So now you come into a ministry situation. You have to minister to these people.
There's another element that I want to mention that also throws a big spanner in the works, right? There's this idea that so I was lecturing on the topic of, so you're on social media, you can't say it, right? And so they call it corn, because for the sake of social
For the sake
media.
of social media.
So I was lecturing on the topic of corn, and I was actually researching it, and so I was reading a book while I downloaded the audio version of it, Your Brain on Corn, right? And then it was actually describing what actually happens in your brain from a scientific and neurological perspective.
Correct.
And those pathways you were speaking about earlier, and how it reconnects and disconnects and all that. And then they were showing how people like Ted Bundy got away with what he got away with and ended up doing what he did. And people like, what's that Netflix movie that they made about
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Jeffrey Dahmer,
Dahmer.
how he did what he did and how he got away with those kind of things because of his thing with corn, right? And so what happened was that it showed that previously you'd have to go to a store and get
And hire the
and
movie
get,
out,
no,
yeah.
get a magazine, right?
Okay.
And then from that magazine, you would have
It's
like
a lot of effort,
two
yeah.
pictures in there that would get you going, and that would be all. Then it progressed from you can now get more magazines, and then it progressed to movies where you can go and hire the movie or tape a movie or whatever the case may be. Then with the advent of social media, it got to the on of internet. Then it now got to the dial-up, and because it was slow and this, it would take a long time, and so it became frustrating. Then it got to a high-speed internet, to where it says when high-speed internet came along, that graph went like from this to like straight up to this, and how it reconnected people's brains, and how it also
Your
brought
sense of reality was also.
your sense of reality, and how you look at other people, and how your thought process shifts, and how you actually become a menace to society if you indulge in that world to the point where you disconnect from reality.
Yeah.
So I was just using that as a case study to say that even in ministry now, when you speak to people that have disconnected from reality, or even the online gamers that just sit the whole day and just
and just
play, and they
game the
go
whole
into
time.
that
Yeah.
world of doing things, they disconnected from reality. They're okay with sitting for a month, 2 months, just in that room eating crepes here and just playing games the whole day, especially if they're being aided by their parents
Correct.
that are just paying for the house and the car, whatever the case may be. Jy sit en speel heel dag TV games. It got to the point where they wear these gamer headphones. I don't know if you saw that thing, right? And this guy, the one day he did an online thing where he was shaving his head. So he shaved his head, and there was literally like a dent going like this into his head. Then when he did that, all the gamers started shaving, and they all had these like dents in the actual skull from wearing this thing the whole day, every day. And so it shows that how that online world literally disconnects you from real life, and how it
And so
actually
how do
And
you
physically
minister? How do you
alters it.
minister to such a person?
because
that sounds
it
a bit
also
hectic.
so especially with the immorality and that world, right? What begins to happen is that you get now the advent of people getting molested and touched inappropriately, and then you have to sit in counseling sessions that deals with those elements, and a lot of it comes from the addiction to the online stuff.
Yeah.
And so it really brings a different spin to the world that becomes a challenge to minister to. And when you sit there and counsel, which I've counseled multiple, you sit there and then you ask, well, where did this thing start? How did this thing start? Nah, one day I was watching a video and this thing popped up, and then I got addicted to it, and then now I'm
That's what's
touching
happening.
people
And so the
in a
question
pro-
is also, how do we also stay relevant? Because you are not going to get such a person into a church. So it's almost like Christian people or people in ministry have to take occupation of these spaces. And it also means that our counseling can no longer be your pragmatic 3 steps, because you are now dealing with a different
Generation.
yeah, and a different demon, if we can say. You won't even have an opportunity to speak to a gamer because you don't have an in. You don't even have and his problems are not going to be the problems of the
Of the general
socially
youth.
the socially adapted child that's going to come in, that wants to have friends, that has normal relationship with maybe an inclination of using a phone too much. They are not the same people.
Because he doesn't want to have friends. He's okay with sitting in his room.
Yeah,
No, he's stuck in a
secluded
stronghold,
world.
yeah.
But you see, the thing is, what I've noticed about our youth specifically is, and I was actually telling this to Xavier and Anka, that they love honesty. This youth,
yeah.
like this generation, they
But what
love
kind
it
of
when
honesty?
you're honest with them, and you say, guys, this is what's happening, and you speak about your corn addiction, and you ask them, where are you at mentally? And lately we've been having youth that say, like, guys, this is the issue, but this is where it comes from, and we sit and we have real honest conversations with them and chat about, okay, so where do you think this will lead you to? Where do you think that will get you? And that's how I think we can bridge the gap from our generation to this generation, and obviously with the technologically advanced, is that we have honest conversation with them. Guys, from your part, where do you think this is going to let you end up? And they sit and they think, whoa, okay, nobody's asked me that.
Yeah.
Nobody said, think about it from your perspective, because a lot of people come to me and they're like, yeah, they just say, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. But nobody actually comes to understand why certain things are happening. And when you sit them down, you say, okay, guys, tell me, why do you think that you're enjoying this so much? And where do you see yourself ending up if you continue on this road? And they're like, oh, that's an interesting question. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
And so this youth wants you to sit and say to them, guys, let's have a conversation. Not
they
from
also
me
want
down
you-
to you.
Yeah.
You tell me, you engage with me. And they're like, oh, this is a new space. Now I can tell you you know what, this is a bit of a struggle.
They
for
want
me.
you to be vulnerable to
Yeah.
that level. And this is the conversation I was having with Justin as well, and with Jay, when we're speaking about the sermons and this.
Yeah.
I said there's a shift in how we preach, right?
Yeah.
So I got a couple, I think last year or the year before, I came out to the whole congregation about my struggle with that addiction. And everyone was like, okay. And after the service, about 5 men came to me. Hey, Pastor, can you send me better?
Yeah, it's a bit
Wow. Then they actually confessed to me and opened up. And these are big married men, right?
Yeah.
With families and everything.
You
And I
also,
know them.
Pastor Xavier. You big married man.
But I'm just meaning like
No,
I
I know
was
what you
open
mean.
and
Yeah.
honest
Just
with,
messing,
and
yeah.
even these guys are like, hey, Pastor, ek weet ek is getroud, my kinders is al groot, but ek struggle met die ding. And then we had that convo. At the men's camp, we had the same conversation, and men were being vulnerable and open and honest and telling their stories and all that. And then Jay also, when he preached on the Sunday, he was sharing his story about being homeless and being kicked out because they couldn't afford the rent and this, that, and the other. And after that, the response was massive with people
People
now
are like, I relate to what's happening.
and then Justin is on this week and he's going to share his personal stories and all that kind of thing. And when you do that and you're vulnerable, and I think the previous generation steers away from
Being
making
vulnerable.
yourself, exposing
Because people
yourself.
are gonna
Because
look
it's
at
like,
you and be
ooh, they're going to
"Ooh,
think
you
this
don't
about
wanna
me.
be-"
This,
Yeah.
And our generation is like, yeah, bruh, if you want to connect with us, man, you must
You have to
first
be
take out
honest.
your own dirty laundry
Yeah.
and be like, yeah, my bruh. I also
Because
feel-
that's when people connect with you.
That's
And
when
the
they're like,
funniest
"Oh."
thing we were talking about,
Yeah.
people connect with you
But
when
you know
are
what it is?
honest.
It's a search for humanity and feeling.
Yes.
Because we're living in a plastic environment. Like, no, I need to be able to identify with your reality. Because at the moment, what I'm seeing right now is very distant. It is very programmable. It is not an authentic human. So you can see they actually do have a desire or a cleaving towards something that is real. that can-
authentic, yeah.
Yes.
They want something authentic.
And the thing
like a
that
search for
is so
it.
interesting for them is if they can see that as big as you are standing on that stage, that you
You are
facing
subject
similar
to the
things,
same thing,
they
yeah.
draw to you immediately because they're like, oh,
I can tell you-
finally people
Yeah.
are not standing and doing what old school preachers do. Don't do it. They're like, guys, reality
done
check.
it.
I've done it. I've been there. They're like, yo, you understand me. Yes.
No,
And then
but
they tell
that-
their friends,
but that
come to
is-
Crystal, because
Yeah.
they're like, you. And then they start sharing the sermons. You don't understand because people are now saying, we've been there. We've done this.
Now,
This
come
is
and
we
tell
do."
you what happened here not so long ago. And
Yeah.
maybe Justin
And
should-
this is going to be your close.
Yeah, this will be my
okay.
closing.
And
Maybe
then Justin, you can
check
close.
the
I'm
comments
gonna-
or
yeah.
Yeah.
So, not so long ago, I had a conversation about the month that, this community is celebrating this month. And I preached about it, but I preached negatively about it, right?
Okay.
And so...
On purpose.
Yes, now because I'm preaching the Bible. So I'm like, hey, God, must I not say this? God's like, hey, you
Okay.
must
So
say
you,
what?
so you took a position.
So I was like, I need to
Okay.
take this position because
Okay.
this is what it is. And I took it, right?
Okay.
But I took it with the mindset of, I know members of this community is part of our church. So how do I address it?
Yeah.
So I went straight for it, head on. And then I thought, I'm going to get some backlash. And then the one member of the community actually inboxed me and said, thank you for the word. It was very powerful. Can we have a chat? Then I said, no problem. Miss." So immediately with the chat, I thought
it was a
"Aish,
negative one."
it's going to come for me. We had the chat and they were like, we understand your standpoint. We know it's a church. We know what the Bible says about these things. But can we walk this journey together? I was like, okay, cool. Okay. So that's, and then the thing is that the point I'm making for that is like that authenticity and that relatability on that level. People respect you more when you're authentic.
Yes.
And you just say what you believe and you stand for what you believe. That's why you find people like now the whole thing that's going on with Trump and how much support he's getting, because it's like we like this because he says what he thinks and he thinks what he says and it is what it is.
Yeah,
And
he's
so people
human after all.
gravitate towards that. And so again, just to close it off, for me, I'm finding relating to the next generation is to be authentic and to just say, hey, my bro, I also had the same struggle. This is where I am. That's
That's
how I
true.
overcame it. I don't agree with this, but we can walk it together, the journey together, this and that. And then people gravitated towards me a lot better than me trying to tell them, don't do this, don't do that, watch out for it, as if I'm perfect, because I now then say, "Agent, I'm also not perfect. I
Yeah.
also need God's grace."
No, that's true. And thank you for that, because it is true. And I think people themselves do better when they also find their authentic voice.
Yeah,
You just do
that's true.
better, because trying to keep up with the Joneses in this day and age is
It
rough.
doesn't work.
It's rough. Justin.
So before I go into the comments, last point from me. we are all about being honest and truthful in our youth. And I mean, your Rock City Church came to us.
Yes.
And that night, if anything, I bared my heart on my sleeve and I was genuinely open with everybody there. And even grown people came and they were like, it's rare that you find people who want to be honest with you, because churches are synonymous for people just shouting down at you and not bridging that gap to say, come with, let's have this conversation and understand what's happening. And from that night and everything time after that, I've said to Xavier as well, when we are so authentic with people, it automatically opens up that door for a breathing
dialogue.
space.
Yeah.
Like now, you can speak about the mental torment that you've been with all of these things that's happening, because you're so scared of what's happening. You're so scared of the society. You're so scared of being judged and everything, that it takes so much away from us that we lose who we are because of everything that's around us. And when you're authentic and you open the conversation, now we can start that healing process.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool, I get you. Let's have that conversation.
Yeah,
now
I don't
we
have to defend it anymore.
Yes.
I can just allow it to be.
We can have a conversation, and what we've been driving is we don't have to end up on the same consensus at the end. We
Yeah,
just
we
both
don't
have
have
to
to
come and
agree.
say, this is what's happening, and how do
We should be able
get
to
there?
have the dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Where do we end?
Leandra says, she's okay. Wade says we have to ask ourselves where we draw the line between educating people that there is a level of responsibility we have to have for all the advancements and benefits that new tech enables for us. 100%. He says advancement of biotech with the aim of improving human health and society, simpler, better, faster, but at what costs? I think that's a good one. Leandra speaks again. She says, we have become so smart that we create smart machines that make us dumb. That's so true.
That's the irony, yeah.
Nathan says, I watched the Netflix movie Bionic. The sim is called a NIM, lol. Thank you for that. We're going to research it. Leandra says again, we stay relevant by staying true to the word of God. If the living word, it's the living word, so it will always be relevant. The delivery may change according to culture, but the content needs to remain, and the content needs to maintain its authority, which I think is a very, very, very good point. Where it says authenticity is contagious, 100%. By sharing your truth, it serves as representation for others, making it okay and safe for others to also open up and share what they are going through. And then he responded and he said 100% Zix.
Yeah, no, that's good. Thank you, listeners. We appreciate you. And I know that many of you made a cameo on Talk with Joan Thursdays. I also just want to give a shout out to my ladies, Joan and Vi. I do miss you, but these two were very good replacements. That's your jobs.
I did not say that. I did not say that.
Yes. So we will resume with Talk with Joan Thursdays next week Thursday. Please stay tuned. We are definitely loving Youth Month. Thank you to the gentleman that came out. We appreciate you. It was a lovely conversation. I enjoyed it thoroughly, and continue being authentic and making the impact and doing the stuff.
Clayton, please put boo 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 boo.
Da-da-da. And then I do have a small plug, and we do this often on the show. Rock City is having a youth conference on the 14th and the 15th. We are on social media. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Not too much of it.
Nudge, nudge.
Go on Facebook if you want to get some of the information. And of course, our Crystal Youth is definitely invited. But yeah, let's stay relevant. Youth, they say, is wasted on the young.
Oh.
But thank you so much. Thank you so much for being with us this Thursday. Take care and God bless. Au revoir.
Toodles.
In the shadows, as I look upon my life, in the shadows, there's a passion inside. Heaven knows I'm living my dream. As I look upon my life, in the shadows, there's a passion inside. Heaven knows I'm living my dream.